30,000 feet above the Atlantic, 11-year-old Devin Harris felt burning coffee splash across his cheek as Thomas Wakefield, a sharply dressed businessman, let his smirk linger far too long. "Accidents happen, kid," he muttered, just loud enough for the nearby rows to hear. No one reacted except Lana Jefferson, a senior flight attendant watching from the galley. Her hands were steady, her face unreadable. With a calm voice hiding her fury, she stepped forward. "Sir," she said evenly, "I need to speak with you now." Neither knew then that this moment would unravel careers, ignite national headlines, and change the airline industry forever. Devin had boarded the flight from Chicago to New York with his mother, Alicia Harris, a civil rights attorney known for her no-nonsense professionalism. Devin had earned a scholarship to a national youth chess championship, and this trip was meant to be a celebration of his hard work. But at the check-in counter, they were informed their seats had mysteriously been switched to standby. Alicia presented their digital boarding passes, seats 12A and 12, but was told the system released their seats. Yet other passengers, all white, were boarding without issue. After calmly presenting evidence and citing airline policy, they were finally allowed on the plane, but only at the back of the boarding line. Worse, Devin was assigned to seat 6B while Alicia was placed in row 29. "He's 11, Alicia argued. "This isn't safe." But the attendant apologized and claimed nothing could be done. Devin, ever respectful, whispered, "It's okay, Mom. I'll be fine." Alicia crouched beside him, reminding him to stay composed, keep his head high, and call for help if anything felt wrong. Devin nodded. He was smart, polite, and mature beyond his years. But even he didn't expect what came next. Thomas Wakefield, 52, vice president at Denning Global Equity, entered the cabin with a tailored suit, cologne, and the air of someone used to snapping fingers and seeing the world obey. When he found Devin in 6B's preferred seat, the scoffed. "There's been a mistake," he said loudly, holding up his boarding pass. "This is my seat." Devin quietly showed his own matching pass. An attendant verified it. Devin belonged there. Wakefield took the aisle seat with a tight smile. "Must be some quota thing," he muttered. Throughout the flight, Wakefield spread documents across both tray tables, pushed his elbow past the armrest, and kept making loud calls about a multimillion-dollar deal. Devin sat quietly, crushed against the window, reading a chess book. At one point, he whispered, "Excuse me," trying to reclaim some space. "You'll have to make do," Wakefield replied, not even looking up. As drinks were served, he ordered scotch after scotch. The more he drank, the more aggressively he pushed into Devin's space. When the boy reached for his pencil and bumped the tray ever so slightly, Wakefield snapped. "Watch it," he barked. Then came the moment. As Lana served hot coffee, Wakefield deliberately tilted the cup just as Devin was retrieving a dropped napkin. Scalding liquid spilled directly onto the boy's face and chest. Devin gasped in pain. Wakefield raised his voice. "He bumped me. Kids have no respect." Everyone froze. Some looked away. Some stared but said nothing. But Lana had seen everything. Within seconds, she was by Devin's side with napkins, water, and a steady hand. Devin's eyes pleaded with her. "It was an accident," he whispered, still trying to keep peace. But she saw the truth in his burns. She escorted Wakefield to the galley. "You poured scalding coffee on a child," she said quietly. "I witnessed it." Wakefield smirked. "And who do you think they'll believe? A disgruntled employee with a chip on her shoulder? I play golf with your COO. Lana's eyes didn't waver. "You'll be moved to another seat and this will be reported." He leaned closer. "One call and your career's over." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "I've survived worse men than you. And I'm done staying silent." Passengers began whispering. Some murmured support for Wakefield. A teenager quietly recorded a video. A woman 2 rows back gave Lana her card. Retired federal judge, willing to testify. When Alicia finally learned what happened and saw her son's burns, her demeanor shifted from composed mother to commanding litigator. She demanded the air marshal, requested medical care, and began collecting statements. Lana's supervisors tried to sweep it under the rug. "We'll handle it internally," they insisted. But she knew better. With Alicia's help, she documented everything: photos, timestamps, names. Wakefield, realizing who Alicia was, the lead attorney in a recent civil suit his firm had lost, began to panic. but his efforts to contact execs failed. News outlets caught wind of the story. The teen's video went viral. At JFK, airline security tried to separate Alicia from Devin. Port Authority officers arrived just in time. TSA got involved. So did national media. Wakefield was escorted from the airport not to a VIP lounge but to a holding room. Lana was placed on leave, pending investigation, but with the public now watching, the airline had little room to maneuver. In the weeks that followed, Alicia faced professional pushback. Devin was pulled from the chess tournament due to safety concerns. Lana's apartment was mysteriously inspected for code violations. But they pressed on. Witnesses came forward. Other flight attendants described patterns. Former co-workers of Wakefield recounted similar abuse. By month 3, a congressional hearing opened. Devin testified. So did Alicia and Lana. Wakefield resigned. The airline's board overhauled policy. Lana was offered a role overseeing a new federal air travel equity board. And Devin? He returned to chess this time as a symbol of grace under fire. They hadn't just won a case. They changed the rules. Because sometimes, justice flies at 30,000 feet and it lands exactly where it's supposed to. The months that followed brought lasting change. Lana's new role within the Federal Air Travel Equity Board empowered her to transform policy from within. She helped draft new legislation mandating third-party review of in-flight assault reports. And she trained airline staff nationwide on de-escalation and implicit bias. Alicia's firm launched a dedicated travel discrimination division. She became a regular guest on national panels and news programs, using her voice to educate the public about patterns that were often overlooked or dismissed. She and Devin traveled the country together, attending speaking engagements where Devin spoke not just as a victim, but as a youth leader advocating for fairness in public spaces. Devin's love for chess never waned. At the next year's national tournament, he returned not just to compete, but to deliver the keynote address. His speech, called "The Sacrifice Isn't the Endgame," moved the room to a standing ovation. He later founded a nonprofit to support underrepresented students in chess programs nationwide. Thomas Wakefield faced criminal and civil consequences. Though his corporate connections tried to shield him, the evidence, photographic, testimonial, and digital, was irrefutable. He eventually pled guilty to assault charges and paid a hefty settlement. Denning Global Equity issued a public apology and implemented sweeping reforms to prevent similar incidents. What began with silence ended with a nationwide conversation. Devin, Alicia, and Lana weren't just passengers on a flight. They were a catalyst. And for thousands watching from the sidelines, they became a reason to believe that courage can still create change even when the odds are sky high.